Good morning, I'm Emily. I'm coming to you from my home this morning, and we are going to be doing a leaf rubbing activity. So what you will need for this activity are some leaves. So I picked some out of my yard this morning, but you can probably find them along any sidewalk strips. This is actually from a dandelion. The one thing to be really careful of is that you're not plucking leaves off of trees or any plants that you want to keep nice and complete in your garden. So if you have some leaves, that's great. If you don't yet, you have a little bit of time now to go out and try to gather some. Awesome, I see Philip's got some leaves. You will also need some paper. White paper works best just for things to show up. And I'm using colored pencils this morning, but probably crayons would be even better if you have any of those. You can use just a regular pencil with lead. Really, any writing implement will work, probably not a marker. So to recap, you need some leaves from outside or that have fallen off your houseplants. You need some white drawing paper. Scrap is fine, just any type of copy paper that you've got lying around. And you will need some colored pencils or crayons. Peter's going to go over some Zoom tips, and so you do have a little bit of time to gather materials if you need. So I see a lot of you have come with leaves, and Parker got a chance to go out and collect some, so that's great. We're gonna start by doing a little bit of observation of our leaves. So I want you all to take a look at your leaves, feel them, you can smell them. Mine do smell nice and fresh. And we're going to look, a lot of your leaves are gonna have two sort of different sides. So one side is pretty smooth and maybe waxy, and the other side will have some more texture. Are you noticing these two sides on your leaves? This is going to be very important for making our leaf rubbings, because what we're going to do is investigate a little bit more about how these leaves are made up. Does anyone know why plants have leaves? What do they use them for? Parker, do you want to unmute yourself?
So they can get sun.
Yes, right. So leaves are responsible for collecting sunlight and turning that into energy for the plant. So you'll see that when leaves are on a plant, they're facing up. They can collect the sunlight. They also have these veins on their bottom, and those veins help transport water to the leaf. So to make food for the plant, they need sunlight and water. So we're going to take a look at these vein systems by doing some leaf rubbing. So everybody needs one leaf or two. You need a piece of paper, and you're going to find that side of the leaf that's more textured. You want that side facing up. So put your leaf down on the table with the smooth side down, the textured part facing up, the veins facing up. And put your piece of paper over your leaf. Then you're going to take a crayon or a colored pencil and find where your leaf is under the paper and just color over that. So I'm going to try to tip my screen down so you can see what I'm doing. So I have my leaf down, veins up. I put my paper over my leaf, and I'm coloring here. What do you notice? What do you guys see as you color? Is it just a smooth block of color? I chose a pretty big leaf, so I've got a lot of ground to cover.
See some folks are holding up their leaf rubbings to the screen.
That's awesome. Here's mine. Oh, cool. So that's a really dark one I'm seeing. So on mine, I'm able to see veins. Wow, Philip, that's a really clear picture that you've captured there. So you can begin to
I can see veins too.
You can see the veins, right? So all of these veins that bring water to the leaf and take energy and nutrients that are created in those leaves and distribute them to the rest of the plant. We get a feel for that. The other really important ingredient that plants need to make energy in their leaves is carbon dioxide from the air. So although we can't see it in our rubbings or with just our eyes, I know that these leaves have little pores that let the air inside so we can get some carbon dioxide to help us make energy in the leaves. I think it's really fun to compare different types of leaves. Does anybody have multiple leaves with them today? And if you do they look the same or different? Yeah, so we've got a lot of leaves. Looks like people have some different looking leaves, which makes this more fun because you can do some art. You can put your leaves together in interesting ways and make rubbings that are actually pictures. You can work on that. And because plants have different leaves, it's also a really good way to identify what plants are around you. I found a cool website that was created by the Smithsonian and some other institutions, and it helps you identify trees by looking at their leaves and their flowers and their fruits. So Peter has put the link to that website into the chat box. I believe it's also an app. So if you have time later today or this week, you can go out and you can explore the trees near your house and try to figure out what's around you. It has a lot of Northeastern and New York State trees right there. Has anybody done another leaf rubbing?
Oh, Corinne has a really big one, it looks like. She just held it up to the camera.
Oh. This is cool. I'm noticing some differences between the leaves from the rubbing. This one that I just did has really jagged edges that I can see on my paper. I'm wondering why this plant developed those edges and this other plant, the garlic mustard that I did earlier, has smoother edges and bigger leaves. So you can think about the environments that plants grow in and how many leaves they have and the size of the leaves on the plant. It does take energy for plants to produce leaves, so they have to find a nice balance, right? They need to be able to send enough water to their leaves and collect enough sunlight without overheating. Also, when it gets really cold at night, they don't want the leaves to freeze off because that's a lot of wasted energy. So plants are careful through evolution about how many different leaves and the size of the leaves on them. I'm going to try to make a person using my different types of leaves. Is anybody else making a scene or a drawing with their leaf rubbing?
Do you think you could do this same activity with a different part of the plant? Something that's not a leaf? What else could we try that on? Anyone have any ideas? I might try it on some bark. If I went up to a tree, I could try to rub it and see what the different textures of my bark are.
It's cool how this process reveals things that we wouldn't necessarily have noticed right away just by looking at a piece of leaf or bark. Does anybody have any other observations? I'm noticing that some of my leaves feel pretty waxy. This one fell off of one of my broccoli plants in the garden, and I'm noticing that it has some holes in it. It looks like something was eating it. I know that a lot of plants have leaves that have a waxy coating to try to prevent insects from eating them, but clearly it doesn't always work. So I hope all of my broccoli plants don't get eaten before they can grow. This is awesome. I see that everyone is pretty hard at work, and I know you can have a lot of fun continuing to create and do leaf rubbings today. Does anyone have or questions about leaves that they would like to share before we log off and leave you to your project?
Well, if you want to share the pictures you made out of your leaf rubbings, or if you found a really interesting leaf that you did a good rubbing of, you should ask your parents for some help, and you can post that on our Facebook page so we can see what you've made. Because it looks like Jerome's made a couple different ones. That's really cool. A few folks have made, oh, Philip's made a couple. That's awesome. Tomorrow, you can join us again at 10:30. We're going to be doing a different activity where we're going to look at how shadows change over the course of a day. And for that, you'll need a piece of paper and some markers or something to draw with, and then something that can cast a shadow. So maybe a small toy or something with an interesting shape to it. And you'll want a flashlight. And then maybe if it's really nice out tomorrow, you could try someplace sunny and get some sidewalk chalk too, because there's a couple other things we could try. But you can collect those things, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow at 10:30. Oh, Corinne, that's really cool.
Yeah, I love all the different colors too. So happy leaf rubbing, everyone.